Spade Cooley. In the vibrant landscape of the 1940s and 1950s American music, Spade Cooley reigned supreme as the king of Western swing. His electrifying performances and innovative blend of country music with big band jazz captivated audiences, drawing millions to his sold-out concerts and his popular television show, The Spade Cooley Show. His hit song, Shame on You, became a defining anthem of the era, solidifying his status as a household name. Yet, beneath Cooley's charismatic stage presence lurked a man consumed by jealousy and rage. His turbulent personal life was marked by alcoholism and a volatile temper, traits that would ultimately lead to one of the most shocking crimes in Hollywood history. In April 1961, Cooley's wife, Ella May, informed him of her intention to leave him. Enraged by her decision, Cooley flew into a violent frenzy. In a horrifying act of brutality, he beat Ella May unconscious, stomped on her body, and burned her with cigarettes, all while their 14-year-old daughter, Melody, was forced to watch. Cooley threatened to end his daughter if she did not bear witness to the brutal assault. The trial that followed was a media sensation, with Melody testifying against her father in court. Cooley was convicted of first degree and sentenced to life in prison. Despite his heinous crime, he was granted a temporary release in 1969 to perform at a benefit concert. Tragically, he suffered a fatal heart attack backstage, ending his life at the age of 59. Mabel Normand. Mabel Normand emerged as one of the brightest stars of the silent film era, a trailblazing actress, director, and screenwriter whose collaborations with Charlie Chaplin and Mack Sennett defined early Hollywood comedy. By the late 1910s, she had founded her own production company and starred in films like Mabel's Strange Predicament, which introduced Chaplin's iconic tramp character. Yet her career and legacy were irrevocably marred by a series of scandals that intertwined her with unsolved crimes and violent incidents, casting a dark shadow over her once dazzling fame. The first scandal erupted in 1922 with the unsolved case of her close friend, director William Desmond Taylor. On February 2nd, Taylor was found shot to death in his home, just hours after Normand had visited him to borrow books. Though police quickly ruled her out as a suspect, the media frenzy surrounding the case, combined with rumors of her drug use and ties to Hollywood's underbelly, destroyed her reputation. One theory, later popularized by author Robert Giroux, alleged that Taylor was finished by drug suppliers connected to Normand after he threatened to expose their operations. Despite lacking concrete evidence, the scandal cemented her image as a dope fiend and contributed to the decline of her career. 2 years later, another tragedy struck. In 1924, Normand's chauffeur, Joe Kelly, used her pistol to shoot millionaire oil broker Cortland S. Dines, whom she was romantically involved with. Though Kelly claimed self-defense, the incident led to Normand's films being banned in Ohio and further tarnished her public image. By this time, her struggles with alcoholism and tuberculosis had taken a severe toll, forcing her to retire from films in 1926 at age 33. Normand's association with Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle, whose career was ruined by the 1921 death of actress Virginia Rappe, also haunted her. Though she was not directly implicated in Rappe's death, their professional partnership led to her films being boycotted during Arbuckle's trials. Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle. Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle was one of the most prominent figures in the silent film era, a rotund, versatile comedian whose physical prowess and comedic timing captivated audiences worldwide. By the early 1920s, he had risen to fame as a leading star and director, working with legends like Mabel Normand, Charlie Chaplin, and Buster Keaton. Yet Arbuckle's career and legacy were irrevocably shattered by a single scandal that gripped Hollywood and the nation. In September 1921, during a weekend party at the St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco, Arbuckle was accused of raping and inadvertently ending actress Virginia Rappe. The charges, based on dubious eyewitness accounts, led to a sensationalized trial orchestrated by politically ambitious prosecutors and fueled by sensationalist media coverage orchestrated by newspaper mogul William Randolph Hearst. Despite 3 court trials, 2 resulting in hung juries and the third in a full acquittal, Arbuckle's reputation was already irreparably damaged. The jury's statement following his acquittal read, "Acquittal is not enough for Roscoe Arbuckle. We feel that a great injustice has been done him." However, the damage was done. Hollywood studios blacklisted Arbuckle, and his films were banned from theaters. He was forced to work under pseudonyms, directing short films for producer Joseph M. Schenck while using the alias William B. Goodrich. Though he eventually secured a limited comeback, starring in a series of 2 reel comedies in the late 1920s, his career never regained its former glory. Arbuckle's personal life also suffered. His wife, Alice Mann, whom he married in 1921, stood by him during the trials, but the stress of the scandal took a toll on their relationship. By 1925, they had divorced. Arbuckle's health declined rapidly, and he died of a heart attack in 1933 at the age of 46. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn, the charismatic Australian-born actor who dominated Hollywood's golden age with swashbuckling roles in films like Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood, was as famous for his on-screen heroics as for his off-screen exploits. His reputation as a ladies' man and adventurer was both a boon and a curse, culminating in one of the era's most sensational scandals. In late 1942, Flynn was charged with 2 counts of statutory crime involving Betty Hansen, a 17-year-old aspiring actress, and Peggy Satterley, a 15-year-old dancer. The girls alleged that Flynn had seduced them during separate incidents. The charges were brought under California's strict age of consent laws, and the case quickly became a media frenzy, fueled by Flynn's notorious playboy image and his quip, "I like my whiskey old and my women young." Flynn's trial in early 1943 was a spectacle of its time. His defense team, led by high-profile attorney Jerry Geisler, discredited the accusers by exposing their past relationships with married men and abortions, painting them as opportunistic liars. After 13 hours of deliberation, the jury, composed of 9 women and 3 men, acquitted Flynn, with one juror famously remarking, "We just sat and looked adoringly at him." The verdict was met with public jubilation. Many fans saw him as a charming rogue rather than a criminal. Yet the trial's impact lingered. While Flynn's career initially weathered the storm, he continued starring in films like Gentleman Jim and Objective, Burma. The scandal reinforced perceptions of his reckless private life. By the 1950s, his health and reputation had deteriorated due to alcoholism, financial troubles, and a string of younger girlfriends, including his final romance with 15-year-old Beverly Adland, whom he met shortly before his death in 1959. John Drew Barrymore. John Drew Barrymore was a member of Hollywood's legendary Barrymore family, the son of iconic actor John Barrymore and silent film star Dolores Costello. Barrymore's early life was defined by familial discord. His parents divorced when he was just 18 months old, and he claimed to have seen his father only once thereafter. His mother, determined to shield him from the pitfalls of Hollywood, sent him to St. John's Military Academy and hoped he would pursue college. Yet Barrymore rebelled, signing a film contract at 17 and debuting in The Sundowners. His career initially showed promise, with leading roles in films like High Lonesome and Quebec. However, his rebellious nature and impatience with the craft led to repeated failures, including abandoning roles and alienating directors. By the late 1950s, Barrymore's personal life began to unravel. He married actress Cara Williams in 1952, but their union was marred by his alcoholism and infidelity. He was jailed multiple times for drunkenness and spousal abuse, incidents that humiliated his family and tarnished the Barrymore name. After divorcing Williams in 1959, he married 3 more times, each marriage ending in divorce. His legal troubles escalated in the 1960s, with arrests for drug possession and traffic violations further derailing his career. In 1958, he changed his name to John Drew Barrymore in an attempt to revive his career, starring in low-budget films like High School Confidential in 1958 and Never Love a Stranger in 1958. Though he briefly found success in Italian cinema, his erratic behavior and substance abuse continued to overshadow his work. By the 1970s, he had become reclusive, disappearing into the wilderness to live a nomadic, derelict existence. Paul Kelly. Paul Kelly, a charismatic leading man of the 1920s and 30s, built a thriving career on stage and screen with his rugged good looks and commanding presence. Yet his life took a dramatic turn in 1927 when he became embroiled in a fatal love triangle that captivated the nation. Kelly was romantically involved with actress Dorothy McKay, who was married to fellow actor Ray Raymond. Tensions between Kelly and Raymond erupted into a violent confrontation on April 16, 1927, during which Kelly, fueled by alcohol, attacked Raymond, leaving him with fatal injuries. Raymond died days later, and Kelly was charged with manslaughter. The trial became a media sensation, with Kelly's love letters to McKay entered as evidence, and McKay herself charged as an accessory for attempting to cover up the crime. Despite her claims of sisterly love for Kelly, the couple married in 1931, shortly after Kelly's release from prison, where he served 25 months for good behavior. Kelly's career initially seemed doomed, but he defied expectations by returning to acting. He appeared in Broadway productions like Broadway Through a Keyhole in 1933 and won a Tony Award for Command Decision in 1948, sharing the honor with Henry Fonda and Basil Rathbone. Kelly's resilience was remarkable. He transitioned to supporting roles in films like The President Vanishes in 1934 and Song and Dance Man in 1936, earning praise for his hard-boiled performances. In a surreal twist, he later portrayed San Quentin Warden Clinton Duffy in Duffy of San Quentin in 1954, the same prison where he had once been incarcerated. Despite his success, Kelly's personal life remained turbulent. After McKay's death in 1940 from injuries sustained in a car accident, he married Claire Owen in 1941. He died of a heart attack in 1956 at age 57, leaving behind a legacy of triumph over adversity and a career that defied the odds. Ray Raymond. Raymond, a charming actor known for his work in musical comedies and early films, met a tragic end in 1927 when his marriage to Dorothy McKay became entangled in a deadly scandal. His wife's affair with Paul Kelly led to a heated confrontation between the two men, culminating in Kelly's violent assault on Raymond. Raymond, who was smaller and less physically imposing than Kelly, succumbed to his injuries, dying days later. The incident shocked Hollywood and the public, casting a shadow over Raymond's career and legacy. While Kelly faced trial and served time for manslaughter, McKay was convicted of accessory after the fact and served 10 months in prison. Raymond's death became a symbol of the destructive power of Hollywood's romantic intrigues, highlighting the era's fascination with scandal and celebrity misdeeds. Though his career was cut short, Raymond's story remains a poignant reminder of the human cost of fame and the often tragic consequences of personal conflicts played out in the public eye. Barbara Payton. Barbara Payton, a striking blonde with a promising career in the late 1940s and early 1950s, appeared in films like Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye in 1950, opposite James Cagney and Bride of the Gorilla in 1951. Yet her life spiraled into chaos due to a series of scandals and personal struggles. Her involvement in a tumultuous love triangle with actors Franchot Tone and Tom Neal led to a violent altercation in 1951, where Neal brutally beat Tone, damaging both men's careers. Payton's erratic behavior and substance abuse further derailed her career. Universal Studios dropped her after rumors of an affair with Bob Hope, while Tone and Neal's legal battles over her affections made headlines. By the mid-1950s, she faced financial ruin, legal troubles, including charges for writing bad checks, and public intoxication arrests. Her attempts to revive her career in England and on stage failed, and she eventually retreated into a life of isolation and poverty, living in squalor in Los Angeles. Payton's tragic end in 1967 at age 39, caused by a combination of alcoholism and drug abuse, marked the final chapter of a once promising career undone by personal demons and Hollywood's unforgiving spotlight. Her story remains a haunting example of how the pressures of fame and societal expectations could destroy even the brightest stars. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin, a towering figure of the silent film era, collaborated with Mabel Normand on iconic films like Mabel's Strange Predicament in 1914, which marked the screen debut of his legendary tramp character. Their partnership helped define early Hollywood comedy, with Normand's spirited performances complementing Chaplin's physical humor. However, Chaplin's personal life was marked by scandal and political controversy. In 1921, he faced a paternity lawsuit from actress Carlisle Hicks, though the case was later dismissed. His fourth marriage in 1943 to 18-year-old Una O'Neill and daughter of playwright Eugene O'Neill drew criticism due to their 36-year age gap. During the Hollywood blacklist era, Chaplin was investigated by the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover for alleged communist ties and un-American activities. In 1942, he was accused of violating the Mann Act for transporting his 16-year-old wife, Lita Gray, across state lines for immoral purposes. Though acquitted, the trial damaged his reputation. In 1952, Chaplin was denied re-entry to the U.S. after a trip abroad and eventually settled in Switzerland. Despite his controversies, his artistic legacy endures, with films like Modern Times in 1936 and The Great Dictator in 1940 cementing his status as a cinematic genius. Frances Farmer. Frances Farmer, a rebellious Hollywood starlet of the 1930s and 1940s, rose to fame in films like Come and Get It in 1936 and The Toast of New York in 1937. Her defiance of studio control and outspoken nature clashed with the conservative norms of the era. In 1940, after a series of arrests for public intoxication and reckless driving, Farmer was involuntarily committed to a mental institution in Washington state. Her family and studio alleged she suffered from schizophrenia, but many believed her institutionalization was punishment for her nonconformity. During her 12-year confinement, Farmer endured lobotomy rumors and harsh treatments. Her case became a symbol of Hollywood's dark side, exposing the industry's exploitation of vulnerable artists. Released in 1952, she worked in theater and television but never regained her former stardom. She died in 1970 at age 57. Her life story was dramatized in the 1982 film Frances, starring Jessica Lange, which highlighted her struggle against the studio system's control. Jennings Lang. Jennings Lang, a prominent Hollywood agent and producer, became embroiled in a sensational scandal in 1951 when film producer Walter Wanger shot him outside Lang's office, suspecting an affair with Wanger's wife, actress Joan Bennett. The incident occurred after Wanger hired a private detective and discovered evidence of their relationship. Lang survived the shooting, which struck him in the thigh and groin, and Wanger pleaded temporary insanity, serving just 4 months in prison. The scandal captivated the media, with Bennett publicly defending Lang while Wanger's career declined. Lang, however, rebounded professionally, producing major films like Airport 1975 in 1974 and Earthquake in 1974. His marriage to Flora Pam, who publicly supported him during the scandal, ended tragically when she died of a heart attack months after the controversy subsided. Lang later married actress Monica Lewis and continued his successful career until his death in 1996. The scandal inspired the 1960 film The Apartment, which won 5 Oscars, including Best Picture. Marie McDonald. Marie McDonald, a striking blonde actress of the 1940s, captivated audiences with her beauty, but became infamous for her tumultuous personal life and legal struggles. After rising to fame in films like The Saxon Charm in 1942 and The Falcon's Alibi in 1946, her career was overshadowed by scandal. In 1947, she disappeared for 5 days, claiming she had been kidnapped and assaulted, only to later admit she had fabricated the story to cover an affair. The incident made headlines and damaged her reputation. McDonald's marriages added to her notoriety. She wed 5 times, including a tumultuous union with bandleader Larry McDonald, whom she divorced after allegations of domestic violence. In 1950, she was arrested for drunk driving and later faced charges for shoplifting and writing bad checks. Her final years were marked by financial ruin and alcoholism. She died in 1971 at age 49. her legacy marred by the same tabloid scandals that once propelled her to fame. Robert Blake. Robert Blake, a former child actor turned Emmy-winning star of Beretta in 1975, saw his career collapse after he was accused of ending his wife, Bonnie Lee Bakley, in 2001. Bakley was shot while sitting in Blake's car outside a Los Angeles restaurant. Prosecutors alleged Blake finished her to gain custody of their daughter Rose. After a sensational trial, Blake was acquitted in 2005, but a civil jury later found him liable for Bakley's death, ordering him to pay $30 million in damages. The case remains unsolved, with theories ranging from a botched robbery to a hit ordered by Blake. His legal battles and Bakley's controversial background, she had previously dated Marlon Brando's son, Christian, kept the case in the spotlight. Blake's career never recovered, and he died in 2023 at age 89, his legacy forever tied to one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries. Ted Healey. Ted Healey, the comedic mastermind behind the original Three Stooges, was a polarizing figure known for his sharp wit and volatile temper. He discovered Moe, Larry, and Curly in the 1920s, launching their careers but often clashing with them over credit and pay. In 1937, Healey's death became a Hollywood mystery. Accounts vary. Some claim he was beaten by 3 college students after a bar fight at the Trocadero nightclub, while others allege he was finished by actor Wallace Beery, producer Albert R. Broccoli, and gangster Pat DiCicco, with MGM covering up the incident. The studio reportedly sent Beery to Europe to avoid scrutiny, fabricating the 3 college boys' story. Healey's death remains unexplained, but his role in shaping the Stooges' legacy endures. His controversial life and enigmatic end reflect the darker side of Hollywood's early days, where scandal and secrecy often intertwined. Wallace Beery. Wallace Beery, a charismatic MGM actor known for roles in films like The Big House in 1930 and Viva Villa. In 1934, was embroiled in controversy for his relationships with much younger women. In 1916, he married 16-year-old actress Gloria Swanson on her 17th birthday, a union she later described as a nightmare. Swanson claimed Beery was repulsive and that their marriage ended after 2 years due to his abusive behavior and her hospitalization from stress. Beery's off-screen antics, including a history of infidelity and rumored alcoholism, contrasted sharply with his on-screen charm, overshadowing his Oscar nomination for The Champ in 1931. Despite his success, his personal life remains a dark footnote in Hollywood history. Walter Wanger. Walter Wanger, a celebrated producer behind films like Joan of Arc in 1948 and Cleopatra in 1963, became infamous in 1951 when he shot Agent Jennings Lang, suspecting an affair with his wife, actress Joan Bennett. Wanger, who had hired a private detective to follow Bennett, confronted Lang in a Beverly Hills parking lot, shooting him in the thigh and groin. Charged with assault, Wanger pleaded temporary insanity and served 4 months in prison. Though the scandal tarnished his reputation, he rebounded professionally, producing Oscar-winning films like I Want to Live in 1958. The incident inspired the 1960 film The Apartment, which won 5 Oscars, including Best Picture. William Desmond Taylor. Director William Desmond Taylor's 1922 case remains one of Hollywood's greatest mysteries. Found shot in his home, Taylor's death implicated several figures, including Mabel Normand, who was the last person to see him alive. Normand, a close friend and rumored romantic interest, faced scrutiny due to her drug use and ties to underworld figures. Other suspects included actress Mary Miles Minter's mother, who allegedly disapproved of Taylor's relationship with her daughter, and shady associates like Edward Sands, Taylor's assistant, who vanished after the killing. The unsolved case destroyed Normand's career and highlighted the era's obsession with scandal. Taylor's killer was never identified, leaving his legacy entangled in tragedy and speculation.